Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another video of why is X coin still a thing. Now firstly, this video is not a recommendation or even a diss of any coin that I review. I just like to explain why this coin exists, and I like to talk about coins that used to be really big back at a particular time and still have some prominence but don't have the glow that it used to have before. So Binance is a good case in point where it kind of skyrocketed into the place that it is now, which is it's got to be at least still top 5 in coin market cap, up basically from nothing. It wasn't like a really particularly pronounced coin that really absorbed everyone's attention. It just went on a massive tear in the 2021 bull market, and then it just kind of hung around since then. It doesn't really outperform any other coins. You don't really hear about it that much. So I'm here to explain, what even is Binance Coin? Why is it even still around? Who is actually buying this coin? Does anyone buy it at all? Well, I want to explain this by first explaining what exchange tokens are in the first place. So Binance Coin is part of a niche of tokens called exchange tokens. Now, when usually a centralized exchange becomes increasingly popular, it's very common for them to release their own native token. And the reason why is that it's a good way of increasing business for them. So a way for them to capitalize on their already large user base is to offer a deal with the people dealing with them. Now, every time that you are using a centralized exchange, it's not actually free. You're already paying money to them, even if it seems like there's no membership fees or anything like that. You're not paying any money up front. But every time you go into the spot exchange, for example, like you see in the background, when you pay for something, it's not free. It's going to cost on Binance 0.1% for spot trading fees, right? And you don't really think about that so much, but the reality is it's actually way more money than you think. If you're using Binance primarily as your exchange, and let's just say you've been in Bitcoin or crypto in general for 5 years, right? Every time you've sold Bitcoin, you've bought Bitcoin, you've traded Bitcoin for Ethereum back into Bitcoin, you sold it for some shitcoin, you sent your funds off the exchange and then back onto the exchange for this and then that. All of those fees, they really do add up. 0.1% is, again, it doesn't sound like a lot, but let's just say you've only got $10,000, but you're always playing around with it. It's going in and out of the system. Over 5 years, that 0.1% can actually add up to hundreds of dollars. And every customer has a lifetime value, and some customers' lifetime value is worth significantly more than others. Now, what these exchanges do is they like to cater to whales, right? Now, I'm not saying whales in the sense of, I'm not saying whales in the sense of people with large Bitcoin holdings, although that is the kind of whale they would like. I'm talking specifically about volume whales, people that are trading large amounts. These are usually institutions. These are people who have basically made it their living to regularly buy and sell cryptocurrency. Maybe they've got their own exchange and they need to provide liquidity. Maybe it's people that they're constantly they're high level institutional speculators, right? They maybe they're trading the derivatives market or something like that. It could be people that maybe they found ways of arbitraging between one place and another. And we're talking about people that trade possibly millions of dollars a week, right? Exchanges essentially get most of their revenue from a very small amount of traders that deal in large amounts. So where the token comes in, the main exchange, these exchange tokens, as I call them, the main business model for them is basically saying to everyone, but particularly focusing on these large investors, saying, hey, look, if you use our token to pay for fees, we'll give you a discount on the fees. Now you're thinking again, it's already 0.1%, and then if people use these Binance tokens, I think it goes down to maybe 0.05%. So it goes down by half, right? And you think it's really not that much, right? What's the point of buying a couple $1,000s worth of Binance tokens if you're only reducing your fees by half? But again, if you're talking about people that trade millions of dollars a week, that 0.1% is actually a large amount, And then if you're offering to cut it down by half, that's really big, because you have to understand these large institutional investors, they're probably making their money by arbitraging between things with a very thin spread, right? So one common practice would be arbitraging between exchanges, right? So maybe there's one exchange that had like their spot price of Bitcoin is like $60,000, right? And on Binance, it's like $59,990, right? So there's such a tiny spread to be made there. But if someone has the ability to take advantage of it, like they'll take their Bitcoin from Binance to this other exchange, and then sell it there or buy. I don't know exactly, but imagine they're making like 0.001%, right? And they're also taking into account there are the spot trading fees. The difference between, you know, making an extra 0.5% is like a really big deal for them, especially when they're really essentially it's competition. When they're trading against other traders who might not have that advantage, that could be the thing that gives them an edge. Now, the irony is, because Binance is the biggest exchange and most of these large institutions are going to be dealing with Binance because it's got the largest volume, if a few traders do this and they're all in competition with each other, it basically makes it the de facto, if you don't have this advantage, you're basically going to be left out of this equation, and you're not going to be able to compete with the other traders who have this slight edge on the market. So for a lot of people that are using Binance on an institutional level or trading at a high level, you basically are going to need the Binance token just to be able to get that slight cut off your fees, right? Which will make a big difference. Now, this is a standard model, right? So why is Binance's token different to all the other exchanges' tokens that deal in this kind of thing? Because KuCoin's got its own token, OKX has got its own token, Huobi's got its own token. I don't think maybe Bybit's got its own token, I think. Yeah, I think it does, maybe. So why is Binance out competing them? Well, of course, first, it's just they're the largest exchange. So if they've got the most volume, other like large traders are going to want to deal on their platform. So that's one big thing. But we need to take into account the next factor, which is arguably the biggest factor in why it's taken Binance's coin to like be in the top 5 such a long time, and that's shitcoins, right? You can't underestimate just how valuable shitcoins have been to the Binance economy, right? To their revenue streams and just the value of the tokens. So they branched out and tried to do more things with the Binance token. Now, there are a number of other things I can talk about with what you can do with the Binance token. I'm not going to go into those things specifically. I just want to focus on the meat and potatoes. And the biggest thing is the fact that Binance created its own blockchain ecosystem, right? It's created its own blockchain. Now, when this happened, it was an extremely big deal, right? So because Ethereum was the main chain, and it still is the main chain. It is still the main blockchain for alternative cryptos. Except, you know, as we know now, as we knew then and as we know now, the fees are extremely high, and it can also take a little while for fees to send. And this is a little bit less the case now because we're in the proof of stake version of Ethereum, which has actually dramatically reduced the cost of sending fees, and plus a number of upgrades that I won't go into that has allowed Ethereum to become much cheaper. However, back in the day, especially in 2021, when you've got the Ethereum blockchain was just being absolutely crowded up. It was more expensive than it would have been normally, particularly because you had, you know, NFTs and stuff like that. So I remember, I'll never forget, like, having Ethereum transactions that could be over $100. It was absolutely outrageous. And at best of times, when the network, it wasn't even that crowded, it still cost like $7 to $12 US, right? So the creation of an alternative blockchain that was much cheap and had high transactions per second was a very necessary alternative to Ethereum. So when Binance created its own blockchain, it just gobbled up a lot of business from Ethereum, principally from the shitcoin market. And there were a lot of shitcoins on Ethereum. Many of them were successful. However, because the fees were very low, it allowed people to very cheaply create these shitcoins on Binance instead. And that created a lot of business for Binance. And ultimately what happened is, so people were using the Binance blockchain. It was called BEP20, BEP20. And the thing is, if you want to create, let me show you real quick, right? It's very easy for anyone to create a shitcoin. You can go to this is a website here called Coin Factory. There are a number of others, right? But if you want to create a token, you essentially have to pay for it in the Binance token, right? And on top of that, if you wanted to send funds to what is it called? So to the Binance blockchain, right? If you want to use a web wallet and access it via MetaMask, whatever, and you want to buy shitcoins or whatever else you want on the Binance blockchain, ultimately these were settled in Binance, right? So maybe you do buy it in USDT, but the USDT is on the Binance blockchain. So ultimately, like, the USDT it's essentially backed by Binance token. Well, more or less, right? Like, it's on the Binance blockchain, right? So most things, like if you wanted to buy, like, you know, the Pepe coin right now, right? You can buy it you have to buy it on the Binance's version of USDT. It would be USDT BEP20, or you might buy it in the Binance token itself. So this dramatically skyrocketed the need to buy Binance, because people wanted to buy all these coins. But on top of that, the big thing is that all these fees would basically be paid in the Binance token, right? So all these people had to buy a Binance token in order to be able to fund the gas fees required to purchase and sell things. So the higher the volume there was, particularly for shitcoins, the higher the need there was for the Binance token. This is something you can see perfectly well with Solana. One of the biggest reasons why Solana is pumped so hard is because of the fact there's so many new shitcoins that have been created on their blockchain, and people need to pay for the gas fees in the Solana token, right? So this was something that originally happened with Binance. So the question is, what's going to happen now with Binance? Well, I don't really suspect that Binance is going to continue to do as well as it did in the past. To be fair, I think they are going to continue to innovate, and they will keep trying to find ways to outcompete Solana and stuff like that. But one of the things is that most of the shitcoin activity has moved from BEP20 to Solana. Solana is just even cheaper. BEP20, Binance, was really cheap, but Solana's become even cheaper. BEP20 was fast, but Solana is just even faster. And a lot of the community and the energy has just flowed towards Solana for just a number of reasons. So Solana has basically just come and eaten Binance's toast, essentially. And there's not much that Binance can do about it. And then on top of that, I also want to make a more meta point about the fact that shitcoins are very unlikely to perform as well as you think during this coming cycle, because there's things like pump.fun. Let me just quickly show it to you real quick. It's a way for anyone to create a shitcoin with absolutely no effort. It doesn't require any coding experience. It doesn't require any money down for the most part, right? And you can do what you can see in the background, right? These are new coins that are being generated constantly, multiple times a second, right? So ultimately what I'm saying is that the rise of Binance was very much tied to the proliferation of meme coins, right? But with meme coins being generated so frequently, the attention of shitcoiners and degens alike have ultimately been diluted down to where it's very unlikely that you're going to get shitcoins really breaking the sound barrier like it did before. You know, most of them will end up in the range you see here, you know, just being at a 5K market cap or 20K market cap. And mind you, this is probably with absolutely no, you might think, oh, you know, well, this is, you know, adding a lot of value to the ecosystem, right? You know, 10, 12K market caps, you know, each time, right? But you have to understand, like, this is basically like one person who's created the coin has basically just made one purchase of that token. And this is how market cap works, right? Just to give a little bit of a brief overview, right? If you've got 100 tokens, each of them, there's been no purchases before. One person comes along, buys one token for $1. Each token is now worth $1 because that's the last traded price of one token. Therefore, every token is now worth $1. Therefore, the market cap is now $100, right? So the market cap is not an indication of its real worth. and it's certainly not an indication of how much it's going to reflect on, say, the Solana ecosystem or Binance ecosystem or something like that, right? They rely on real transactions to actually increase the price of its coin, because people need the Solana or Binance token to pay for the gas fees, right? So what you're seeing is basically it's nothing, right? Like when you see the market cap, it's literally nothing, essentially, right? But the point is, because there is so many coins and they're being printed out of nothing, and they're all creatively bankrupt. They're just derivatives of one thing after another. I mean, how many more cat coins do we need? How many more dog coins do we need, right? There's only so much more that this market can pump, and the likelihood is that meme coins are just not going to have the same impact. You'll probably have a few that are going to pump. You're going to have those big blue chip meme coins like Shiba Inu and maybe Pepe, Dog with Hat, Bonk. You're probably going to have some that do well, and maybe more will penetrate in the top 100. But the chances of picking the next Shiba is very unlikely. But the point is, overall, I don't think that Binance coin is going to do particularly well. I'm sure they're going to do a lot to innovate and find new ways to compete with other coins, maybe competing in other arenas. But as far as the shitcoin stuff is concerned, Solana's, I think, going to increasingly monopolize that. And on top of that, the shitcoin stuff is probably not going to be as big of a thing this bull market as it was in previous bull markets, just because of the accessibility of creating meme coins, right? And on top of that, there's probably going to be always some new, even if Binance makes cheaper transactions, more TPS, at the end of the day, there's always going to be some other blockchain that's going to try and compete for that title. So I don't think Binance coin is going to be around forever. But then again, I think they have a great business model with what they've got going on with lowering trading fees for large traders. I think that's a good business model, but I don't know if it really deserves to be in the top 5 forever. But again, this isn't really a channel for speculating. I'm just here to explain why it exists, and that's really it. So thanks a lot for watching, guys. If you like these kinds of no-nonsense videos, make sure to subscribe to my channel. And if you want to check out some of my referral links, I can show you different ways to buy cryptocurrency without KYC. If you want to learn how to do that, check out my different videos on how to do that in my channel, and use my referral links, because these crypto exchanges, local CoinSwap, HODL, and I've got a few others. These are places where you can buy cryptocurrency in any payment method you want, because they're done via peer-to-peer, which means you're dealing directly with the seller, and they can provide any kinds of conditions for how they want to sell your crypto. So they can sell it via bank transfer, they can sell via cash, gold, you can do it by TransferWise, Revolut, anything that you could imagine. There's someone selling crypto via a payment method you haven't even thought of, and they're not doing it, and they also don't require KYC. So I think that's a really good deal. So make sure to use my referral links in the description down below if you're interested in those, and I'll see you next time.